Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Tonight, I have another vintage magazine for you. Now, this is probably one of my favorites to look through because I used to have these magazines growing up. I would get them in the mail all the time, and I would wait for the mailman to come and drop it off in the mailbox, and I was just a happy little girl because I started getting into rock music, grunge music when I was only around 10 years old. Now, my all-time favorite band as a child was Green Day. So I mainly would get these magazines to see pictures of Green Day. Although I still do like Green Day, I'm not as into them as I was back then. Now I'm more into Alice in Chains, Lord Huron, a lot of indie rock, and I will never not like classic rock. But let's look through this Hit Parader magazine from 1996. And I do want to apologize for my nails. My nails are constantly breaking, and every time I paint them, I do a lot of dishes, and the nail polish just comes right off. So we want to keep that behind the magazine so that we don't ruin it. This is a collector's issue. And on the front you can see Soundgarden, Marilyn Manson, Metallica, Alice in Chains, 9 Inch Nails, Bush, Rancid, Green Day, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, Silverchair, and Korn. And let me tell you, when I look at this magazine, I just get filled with nostalgia and so many memories. And I can't believe that it's been so long, because I remember looking at these magazines and looking at all these people, I felt like they were so much older than me. Well, they were, but looking at them now, they look much younger. So here we have a band called Sepultura. I'm pretty sure that's the CD that I actually really like from them. I don't remember the CD actually, but somebody had it, one of their CDs, and it was very tribal-like, and I was like hooked on it, but I could never figure out what CD it was. we read your mail. So people would write in and talk about, I guess, all kinds of things. I think like these magazines were so cool. They used to have a spot in these magazines where you can get a pen pal and you'd fill out the card and, you know, you would write what kind of pen pal you were looking for. And I got 2 pen pals. One was from Pennsylvania and one was originally he was from England but lived in Oklahoma. And a funny story is, you know, back in the 90s, it was really popular to have the wallet chains, the chains that hang from your wallet. And I wanted one really bad because Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day had one. And I got one. I ended up getting one from a fair. Well, I sent it to this kid because I wanted him to like me, and I thought, oh, I'll send him this wallet chain in an envelope. And I actually did. And I guess the mailman did something where he just made it possible to send it to him because I only put 1 stamp on it. And you know that must have weighed a ton. Okay, I'm rambling. Look, you can play killer guitar, the most detailed, organized, and comprehensive guitar instruction available today. Should we read one of these letters that people send in? Okay, let me find one. Okay, so I'm gonna read one of these letters that somebody had written in to the magazine. Okay, Metal Forever. What's wrong with you metal fans? How dare you say people like me are not real metal fans? I own 2 Metallica CDs. I love Pantera too, and they are just about as heavy metal as you can get. You're contradicting yourself, you beephead. I don't get it. First you say you love Metallica, but if someone buys their CD and likes it, they are not a metal fan? What the heck is that supposed to mean anyway? Quit complaining because some of us are not as cool as you. Who cares? I love 9 Inch Nails too and have all their records. Stop trying so hard to be an individual. Not everyone is like you. And Hippo Reader, how about giving us something different for once? Do more stories on Silverchair and Tool. I'm sick of seeing Pearl Jam. How about it? It's a really nice pearl drum set. Okay. So, back in the day, we used to have, I think these are games, but I am pretty sure they have one in here called Columbia House, and I'll show you that, which brings back a lot of memories. All new and improved rock and roll hotline. This reminds me of something I used to do. I used to go to a payphone, and I still remember the number. It was 1-800-MUSIC-NOW, and you used to call the number, and it would tell you, like, let you listen to the latest single from Green Day, Silverchair, any of the newer bands that are out. And yeah, this one, it tells you tour schedules, mailing addresses, concert listings. And I remember writing Green Day as a kid over and over again, and I just wanted Billie Joe Armstrong to write me back. And their fan club responded back to me, and they sent me an autographed photo, and I wish I still had that. Okay, Alice in Chains. I absolutely love Alice in Chains, but Alice in Chains, when they had Lane Staley, who sadly, tragically passed away. This is Jerry Cantrell. He's also really good. He also sings. So, in the early 2000s, my friend, who I'm no longer friends with anymore, but we were like besties, she was obsessed with Alice in Chains, mostly Lane Staley. And she used to say that if I was a guy, I would resemble him, which is funny because I can kind of see it in the eyes. But me and her, I was obsessed with Blind Melon, and I had a crush on Shannon Hoon. She had a crush on Lane Staley, and I apologize if you hear sounds right now. It's my neighbors, and you can literally hear them using the washroom. Our walls are like paper thin. But I ended up really getting into them years later. I always liked them. I just got more into them later on. Here's a punk band named Rancid that was pretty popular in the 90s. there was a couple songs that I liked from them. Okay, so this is called Rockabilia. I don't know if they still make this. If they have it online now instead of in magazines. But every time you would get a rock magazine, this would be in it. And I absolutely loved this page because back then, when you would go into a store like Hot Topic, everything in there was rock, was music. They had all kinds of rock shirts, rock posters, buttons. As you can see here, they have all these rock shirts, and then you can get long sleeve t-shirts, imported CDs, patches, all kinds of things. And I went into a Hot Topic recently, and it's all like anime stuff. It was pretty disappointing. There was nothing that was like music related really anymore. I miss those days when you used to walk into Hot Topic and the cashier had some colored hair and piercings, and you used to be able to just get any kind of rock t-shirt you wanted. But then again, times have changed. We don't have MTV anymore. So that's where we would mostly find out about new bands or the radio. But yes, I can see a couple shirts here that my mom had gifted me for Christmas when I was younger, such as this Kurt Cobain shirt. All kinds of Green Day shirts. I remember having the Dookie shirt and Silverchair. I had their shirt. I had a girlfriend, well, not a girlfriend, but a friend that was a girl who was crazy about Marilyn Manson, and she had everything Marilyn Manson related. There's Ozzy Osbourne. Okay, another band that I really, really loved because I was young and Silverchair came out, and they were a rock band from Australia, and they were like only 15, 16, and I'm pretty sure I was around 11, and I just was in love with Daniel Johns. And me and my friend, we used to we used to joke back and forth all the time, but she would say that she was the drummer and that I was him. I don't know why we did these things, but okay, Korn. When I was in high school, a lot of the boys that I hung around was crazy about the band Korn. I personally wasn't a huge fan, but they were very big when when I was in school. Everybody wanted to wear Adidas clothing, and yeah. Here's another concert t-shirts and woven patches, necklaces, buttons, baseball hats. Here we have White Zombie. I remember getting their cassette. I was really into the song More Human Than a Human. And then then he went solo. But good band. Green Day. I don't know. When I was young, I just had the biggest crush on him. And I remember being a young girl, and I was so fascinated by the music video Basket Case. And it came on when I was in my living room, and I was glued to the TV, mesmerized, mostly because I was really into the music, but I was also mesmerized by his eyes because they were so green. And he had these really beautiful green contacts, and I remember wanting them so bad that eventually when I turned 21 years old, I ended up getting them. That's how much I loved that. I loved it, and I loved the color green. But yeah, they had a cassette tape that was out before Dookie, and it was called Kerplunk, and that was really good too. I recommend you check that out if you've never heard it. It wasn't, really popular because it was before they really got famous. Columbia House. There was Columbia House and BMG. Now, the thing about this is you used to be able to get 10 CDs or cassettes for 1 cent. So basically, you would get them for free in the mail. And the whole deal was you were supposed to send back the ones you didn't want. And then once you kept the ones that you did want, they would charge you for them. Well, I'll tell you something. Most people never sent them back. A lot of young kids would do it, and they would get 10 CDs and never pay for them. Here's Gavin Rossdale from Bush. I had his cassettes as well. They were cassettes. And I think my favorite song was Machine Head. I liked his wavy hair. I always had a thing for guys that had curly hair. But yeah, wasn't a huge fan. I like Pearl Jam. Here's Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder. But I was mostly a Nirvana fan because there was a big debate in the 90s. You can either be a Pearl Jam fan or a Nirvana fan. And, people would fight over who's better. No joke. But I don't know. I liked both of them. So, but I really liked Nirvana a little more, but I really do love Pearl Jam as well. And Soundgarden, definitely talented and everything, but I just never got that feeling where I was really into them. And I'm really sorry to hear about his passing as well. Here we have Metallica's James Hetfield. And I didn't really get into them until they came out with, I always like Enter Sandman and, what's that song called? I just forgot it, but yeah. Here's some Guns N' Roses, and Steve Tyler's going hard in this picture. We got some Kiss, Unmasked. I had this photo on my wall when I was a teenager. That's another thing. We would take out all the pictures out of the magazines and all the posters and hang them on our wall. So that's Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails. And he's covered in mud. He was, he was a badass. He was considered kind of like Tool from today, but I really like his music. There's Dave Navarro. Everybody has a preference, right? I just never got into them. Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm not saying they're bad or anything. You gotta have that spark, You gotta have something that lights that spark in your soul. And they just never did it for me. Stone Temple Pilots. I liked them. I liked Smashing Pumpkins. Great band. The Offspring. Definitely had a couple of their cassettes. Wasn't a huge fan, but I would definitely sing along if I heard it on the radio. Pitch Shifter. I haven't heard of them. And I don't know who that is. Okay. Marilyn Manson. So I'll admit they creeped me out when I was young. And like I said, my one friend, she was in love with Marilyn Manson. I mean, she thought he was the most gorgeous man in the world. And I said, is there something wrong with you? How could you think he was, I mean, to each their own, but when you see that, I mean, how can you think that's handsome? Maybe, like, if he wasn't looking all creepy and stuff, but I don't know, I always liked this one, Twiggy. But let's read some of this. So, Hit Parader would interview some of these bands, okay? And Hit Parader says, "Smells Like Children is an interesting title for your new EP. Does that title have any significance?" Marilyn Manson says, "Yes, it does. It was inspired by a couple different things. The title goes way back to my childhood. It has to do with a child snatcher in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He was the villain that had a keen sense of smell. He went around smelling for children. When he would find them, he would kidnap them and lock them away because there were no children allowed in the city." Okay. Hit Parader says, "You reportedly had an unhappy childhood. Is your music how you deal with the disappointments and delusions of life?" He says, "Being Marilyn Manson is the way I deal with the abuse I received as a child. This is how I know to express it through our show. Through our show and through our music, people misconceive a lot of things about us. For example, people say that I am for child, something I can't say. But that's not true. It's just the way I deal with it. I never felt like I was promoting it or discouraging it. I'm just speaking about it, that's all. I have to mention that times were different back then. People weren't as sensitive as they are today. Like, you can get away with saying so much back in the day versus today. Now if you say certain things, people want to cancel you. I mean, it's gotten pretty bad that we no longer really have freedom of speech. And I'm just speaking facts because I grew up in the 90s, and you used to, like, what they're saying in this magazine, it's like they could never write this stuff today. Never. Or it would be all over the place and people debating it and starting all kinds of drama about it. People don't want others to be themselves. They want everyone to be the same, and they want everyone to think alike. And that's really sad. Oh, see, I can't even say what that just said. Wow, I can't believe some of the things they say in here. Because I know now they would never be able to say this. Okay, so Hit Parader says, "People fear you. How do you feel about that?" Marilyn Manson says, "People should fear us, and you should too. Everybody has a devil. It's the devil that has kept Christianity in business all the time. You can't have one without the other. I want to show people that there are two sides. What people don't realize is that good and evil is subjective. You can't have a norm of good and evil. You can't have just one morality. Hit Parader says, how would you describe yourself? Marilyn Manson says, that's hard to say because I'm a shy person. The word Marilyn Manson describes it all. I'm the type of person that likes to say what's on his mind. I don't like to hold back what I'm thinking. I am also the type of person that finds the things that scare me, and I do them so I won't be scared of them anymore. Rebellion is something I easily relate to. I think rebellion is something missing these days. I like to bring it back. Typo negative. I actually really like them. I know they're kind of dark, but they did have some really good music. And unfortunately, Peter Steele passed away. But I like some of their music. Yeah, I forgot he was in Playgirl. Yeah. Okay, so this might be what I was talking about. Your pen pal connection. Oh my goodness. So here it is. You would fill it out, and you have to be age 17 or younger. I don't think they could ever do this again. And then you send $3 for one pen pal and $5 for two. And I would just put the money in the envelope, and you put what kind of music you like and all that, and then they would pair you up with somebody. And there are different necklaces and stuff you can get. There's Ozzy. So these are compact discs or videos you can get from music bands. And then if you wanted to order, different Hit Parader magazines, you could. Like this one, I remember having that one. I had every one that had Green Day in it. The Offspring. A very angry looking Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this magazine look through. If there's any specific type of magazine that you would be interested in seeing, let me know. Do you like the rock magazines? Do you like older magazines, more vintage? Well, thank you for watching and have a good night.